right, everybody. Welcome in to another episode of the NFL Seekers podcast. Today, we're going to be talking about all of the free agency signings from day one. We're going to be grading all the free agency signings. There were some crazy moves. Kirk Cousins goes over to Atlanta. You got Saquon going to his division rival, Eagles. It's crazy. A lot of running backs got some big deals. So a lot to talk about. Actually, a busy day one. I feel like last year's day one of wave one of free agency wasn't this busy. So it's been a fun day. Some electric trades we'll get into. But how are you, Josh? How was your day?
Awesome. I mean, besides being at work, I mean, it was painful being at work, just constantly staring down at my phone, refreshing everything just to see what news was happening. And it was happening at a pretty astonishing rate. I mean, it was pretty exciting. You didn't have to wait too long before. I mean, once the open period for negotiating started, I mean, it just took off. It was about 20 minutes and it just took off for the rest of the day. And as we've been just barely talking pre-podcast, there's already been two more signings. So we'll continue to periodically check, but what an awesome time. It's just one of the best times of the year for football fans.
Yeah, it's been an electric day, nonstop news. And let's talk about the trades before we get into all the free agency signings. Let's just grade the trades real quick. We'll go over them. Let's start with the blockbuster edge rusher, Brian Burns. Goes over to the New York Giants for a second and a fifth round pick. You get one of the best pure pass rushers in this league to me. I really think he's just got that Von Miller, bendy type build, and the Giants paid him like 150 million for that reason. He's a special pass rusher, so I love the move. What grade do you give it?
Yeah, you know what? I'm going to give that one an A. I'm feeling generous today. There might be a lot of A's given out because I'm excited, but no, I mean, Brian Burns, the compensation is very similar to what the Chargers traded for Khalil Mack 2 years ago, and Khalil Mack was 30 years old, and Brian Burns is 25. So you're getting a star edge rusher in his prime, and, he's kind of the outside linebacker, edge rusher, Micah Parsons, Von Miller type, who has all the potential to be as good as those guys. And so you go and pair him up with Kayvon Thibodeau on the other side, and you got one of the best pass rushing duos in the NFL, period. And that was a really exciting one. So I'm giving it an A.
Yeah, I'll give it an A minus. You can't knock getting this surefire, really good starting edge. I will say I don't know if the Giants are like the team for Brian Burns. I don't know if they're in the best position to be trading for a second round pick for an edge rusher like this. I don't know if they're in that spot, but it's going to be electric. Him and Kayvon and Sexy Dexy on the interior. It's going to be a really fun defensive line. They're going to wreak some havoc. So love that one. I'll give that an A minus, and then. A trade I really, really loved, a sneaky trade. We didn't hear a L'Jarius Sneed trade yet, but a value brand, L'Jarius Sneed. Carlton Davis was traded from the Buccaneers to the Lions for essentially a third round pick. It kind of equaled out to like a fourth round pick because the um, Bucks got another pick, or the Lions got another pick back. But yeah, I think it's an electric trade. I think it's a value brand. L'Jarius Sneed, Carlton Davis has been a really good outside corner for a few years now, and that's like the Lions' biggest need. That's been their downfall is the secondary, and they need a real CB one. So I like you replacing Sutton with Carlton Davis. I really like that move. I'm going to give that one an A plus. I love it.
Yeah, that's a very underrated move. Carlton Davis is one of those lockdown premier corners who just doesn't have a big name brand to him. But I mean, the dude is solid and has been for years. So yeah, I absolutely love it. I'm going to give that one an A as well. Nothing wrong with that. It equals out to about yeah, like you said, a fourth round pick, and you get a starting caliber corner. So with no question mark. So you absolutely love it. That's the Lions were absolutely desperate for corner help. That was one of their biggest downfalls, and getting a true premier slot corner, or sorry, not slot, getting a true premier outside corner for essentially a fourth. Yeah, you'd love to see it. It's fantastic.
Yeah, I really loved the move. It was pretty crafty. You didn't really hear Davis in trade talks or anything, but two big running backs were released, two big name running backs that are really, impactful in fantasy. Joe Mixon and Aaron Jones, both pretty crazy. That whole Packers situation replacing Aaron Jones for Josh Jacobs was completely out of left field, and we'll talk about that. That's pretty electric for sure. But yeah, Aaron Jones and Joe Mixon are going to be good wherever they go in their own rights. They're gonna have a lot of interest. I saw that the Vikings are interested in Aaron Jones, keeping him in the division. What are you thinking for some like landing spots for those two before we get into this?
Well, first and foremost, I just want to say what a year for the running backs already. It feels like it's been a running back day today, and it's just is wild to me. Sorry, I'm kind of losing my voice. I've kind of been, hyped up a little bit today. Uh, but yeah, I mean, Joe Mixon, Aaron Jones, two premier running backs, two very, very relevant fantasy running backs. Gosh, and landing spots. Gosh, it's kind of tough to me right now. I know the Ravens are showing, heavy interest in Derrick Henry, but either one of those guys would slot right in there, and I'd really like that. Honestly, the Broncos, your Denver Broncos, I think would be a great spot for either of them. I think the Broncos are in need of a true RB1, and
The
man.
Cowboys, the Aaron Jones is the Cowboys killer. If he goes there, that's beautiful.
Mhm. And the Texans. I think the Texans, they missed out on Saquon and some of these big name guys so far. So, maybe the Texans are just being patient and Joe Mixon and Aaron Jones will slide in there just perfectly.
Yeah, it is pretty hard to predict like an exact spot. The Chargers are definitely up there, especially for Mixon. I could see the Chargers in play. Mixon does seem like that power runner that Roman would like. So yeah, I guess I'll go with Chargers for Mixon and with Aaron Jones. I'm between the Vikings and Cowboys. That is really tough to decide. I think I'll go with the Cowboys actually. I think the Cowboys will want to make that splash, even though I could see the Vikings doing it just because they don't really have that running back right now, other than Ty Chandler. But anything else you want to say on those two before we get into these grades?
Yeah, well, I'll finalize my final saying spot for them. I'm going to go Aaron Jones to the Broncos, and then I'm going to go Joe Mixon to the Texans. I think I like those two fits the best.
Electric, man. I would love Aaron Jones of the Broncos. He's still got it. He's been playing good football, and he's a perfect complement to Javante. With that, do you want to just get into grading all these grades? We'll start with the quarterback. Do you want to give us your grade and thoughts on Kirk Cousins going to the Falcons for 4 years, 180 million? He got the whole bag in Atlanta.
So far, we're 3 for 3, Dan. With our quarterback prediction, we haven't missed on one yet. You love to see it. But yeah, Kirk Cousins, the Atlanta Falcons. I thought it was going to be a 3-year deal, 35 in the realm of 35 million a year guaranteed. Yeah, he gets 4 years, $40 million APY. Yeah, Kirk Cousins knows how to play free agency. And you know what? We love the fit. We talked about it on yesterday's episode. If you want to check that out, our quarterback carousel. But yeah, it was definitely, I definitely, we predicted Atlanta. It was kind of hard to see him going away from the Vikings, but they ultimately couldn't lock him up before free agency, and he moves on. So that's going to play huge implications for fantasy, huge implications for draft day, because now, hello, Minnesota is in play for a quarterback in the NFL draft, so it's going to be interesting.
Minnesota's in play for a quarterback. Atlanta is not. So it is going to be very interesting. The signing kind of, goes without saying. I've been saying since last year that if you got rid of Stinky Ritter and added any competent quarterback on the Falcons, they're honestly NFC contenders, and I'll stick with it. Like Kirk Cousins was on pace to win MVP last year before going down with that injury. His game is not predicated on athleticism whatsoever, so he'll be perfectly fine coming back from the injury. I'm not worried about his age, and you pair him with Bijan, Drake London, Kyle Pitts, you literally don't need to say anything more. It's going to be beautiful. Not to mention Zach Robinson is like the perfect complement for a Kirk Cousins type. We finally get to see Kirk Cousins in that Shanahan McVay offense. It's going to be a beautiful sight. He's going to be on point, and it's beautiful. You have to give it an A+, and I don't know if there's much more to say.
No, not much more to say, but yeah, just a really fun. It's fun when free agency shakes up. It's fun to it'll be weird to see Kirk Cousins in a Falcons jersey, but it's going to be very exciting. He finds a new home with a lot of good offensive weapons. Love to see it. And then for the next guy, we predicted Baker Mayfield resigns with the Buccaneers. Not a lot to talk about. Kind of expected it all offseason. I didn't really, see another home for him. But yeah, that one was that one was kind of obvious. That was our obvious one.
Yeah, we locked this one in months ago. If you guys have been listening to us, we didn't even entertain the possibility of Baker ever leaving, ever. There were some people saying the Patriots could be interested. Let's just move over to Jacoby Brissett real quick because Jacoby, or do you want to give a grade for the Baker re-signing, I guess, real quick?
Yeah, I guess A. I mean, you gave him maybe a little bit more. I'm not gonna give it an A because I feel like they may have overpaid a little bit. I'm gonna give it a solid B because you really couldn't afford to let him leave, so that was kind of where the B comes in from. And he played great last year, but yeah, no, I mean, they gave him 30 plus million dollars, so I'm not gonna say that was any value signing or anything.
Yeah, that's the thing. You had to pay him. You knew that they were going to, and they kind of were forced into it with how he played last year. It does have the vibes of a Daniel Jones contract, where you might be regretting it in a year or two and wanting to move off of him, and it's a lot of money. But yeah, you were kind of forced into it. So yeah, you have to give him like a B, B plus. I'll give him a B, and then we'll move on to Jacoby Brissett, who a lot of people, were saying was going to be a sought after free agent. He goes to the Patriots, the team he was drafted to, and I think that's a really good signing. I think that um, it's he's a good bridge quarterback for even if they draft Jaden Daniels. I think you start Jacoby Brissett, no question. And I think the move is just starting Jacoby Brissett and drafting Marvin Harrison. And I think you could have a pretty decent team with the money that they have. You sign some more free agents. I think that pairing with Marvin's the move, but I like the signing. I like it a lot. I thought Brissett was one of the more underrated free agents, honestly. He's a really good quarterback.
Yeah, I really like it. It gives you flexibility. It gives you flexibility in the draft. I don't even say, your hands aren't even tied. I mean, I think it's smart to take a quarterback, obviously, but your hands aren't tied. I mean, Brissett can step in there for a year. I mean, obviously, it's a 1 year, $8 million contract. It seems like he's going to be the bridge quarterback for a rookie. But yeah, it kind of gives you the flexibility in the draft of maybe you don't want to take, a quarterback at 3. Maybe you want to wait. And maybe you want to take Marvin Harrison Jr., who's the best wide receiver in the last decade. And the Raiders did a similar thing right there with Gardner Minshew, 2 years, $25 million, gives them the flexibility in the draft to not have to be forced to take a quarterback because you got a starting caliber guy who's one of the better backups. So if you have to play him, he can step in there and he can win you some games. So kind of the same kind of signing for me, just two bridge quarterbacks, but I like the signing, not a lot to talk about.
Yeah, two of the best bridge quarterbacks in the league. So I'll give this one like a B plus, honestly, just because they're kind of essential moves that have to be made. They're great quarterbacks to have in the room, as you saw. Gardner Minshew led the Colts to that Week 18 playoff game. It was a game out of the playoffs. So yeah, commendable. It's going to be fun to watch him on that Raiders team. And what are your thoughts on the Russell Wilson to the Raiders, pairing with Arthur Smith, or I just said the Raiders, Steelers. I spoke that into existence. No, the Steelers, pairing with Arthur Smith. What are your thoughts on that $1.2 million deal? Just saying F you to the Broncos. Very, very, or I respect it. It's petty, but I respect it.
It's silly. I mean, they're paying him obviously the Broncos are paying him $38 million or something to not be on the team, and the Steelers are getting an absolutely bargain deal. So obviously, it's very petty. Great for the Steelers. The Steelers get a win now type of quarterback. I mean, with the horrible, horrible, horrible quarterback play, it's not. I wouldn't say Russell Wilson's a ginormous upgrade, but he's definitely an upgrade. And anything from what they had in their quarterback last year in their room is an upgrade. So yeah, you get Russell Wilson. I think it automatically makes you playoff contenders and serious in the AFC North. But yeah, it's a funny petty deal. I mean, obviously for the value, it's a great value. The Steelers are just have not been in a good spot to draft a rookie quarterback. They're just too far down the board every year. So I'll give this one a B plus.
Yeah, it's an interesting one because the value, obviously, you take the chance at Russell Wilson at $1 million every time. So relative to value, you have to give it a really good grade. And you showed your card benching Kenny Pickett for Mason Rudolph in a playoff game last year. So you do have to move off from Kenny. I totally am I'm done with Kenny, honestly. And Russ is the upgrade. The fit with Arthur Smith is definitely interesting. If I was just grading it off fit, it would be like a B minus C plus. Arthur Smith really predicates his offense on throwing over the middle. Russ threw over the middle the least in the entire NFL last year. It's something he historically just doesn't do. So that will be an interesting mesh. It probably will be a mess as well, not in the end. But yeah, George Pickens and Russ is kind of it's going to end up comical as well. And then you have to cut Deontay Johnson because he just doesn't complement Russ's style at all, and he's literally just a Judy if they were to keep him. So yeah, it's interesting, but they're going to be in every game, competitive and in that playoff race, 100%.
Yeah, and then just to talk about the last guy who was just signed while we were on the podcast, Tyrod Taylor signs with the Jets. The Jets finally get their backup quarterback to Aaron Rodgers. What do you make of this one? I think I like the signing. I think you get an instant guy who can plug and play if Aaron Rodgers does go down, Aaron Rodgers does get hurt. You stay competitive with a competent quarterback, which you did not have last year.
Yeah. Tyrod Taylor, Jameis Winston, Sam Darnold, Drew Lock, all really good backup quarterbacks. I would commend the Jets for taking a chance at any of them because you didn't last year, and it was a huge mistake. We were calling for them to sign one before the Aaron Rodgers injury, and then instantly after, we were calling them to trade for Brissett or Jameis all season long, every single week. So thankfully, they right their wrongs. We'll give them an A plus just because they keep Tyrod in New York and they finally get a competent backup. So with that, do you want to move on to running back, or do you
Let's
want to get
do
to
it.
your
Let's get on to the running backs. A couple quarterbacks, not huge names. We'll talk about them in, the further podcast this week. But yeah, what a day for running backs today, man. Obviously, starting out with Mr. Saquon Barkley going to the division rival Philadelphia Eagles on a 3-year, $37.75 million contract. Absolutely saying F you to Giants fans and going to the rival. Tiki Barber tweeted out, Saquon, you are dead to us. What a wild move by Saquon Barkley. What do you make of it, Dan?
I mean, it's a perfect situation for Saquon. I think we've been kind of saying, imagine Saquon behind this Eagles offensive line for years now, and it's happening, and it's a scary sight. Someone tweeted that Saquon's going to finally have 2,000 yards this year, and I mean, it was kind of like funny, but I mean, it's in the realm of possibilities. This is like a historically great run blocking offensive line, and if Saquon can stay healthy, he's going to be really, really good. I think the money is fine value, and if he's healthy, it's going to be well worth it. I think running backs, these high tier running backs, are honestly kind of a value at this point because they have such a high impact instantly for your team, but you're getting them at such a value, and I think it's worth taking a shot at Barkley, Jacobs, Henry, and all these guys. I think the Bears should have swung higher and gone like Pollard over Swift, but yeah, really like this Saquon. I'll give it a A minus for a running back. That's a pretty good grade.
Yeah, well, I'll be honest. I've been a Saquon lover. I was one of the guys who was fortunate enough to have him on my fantasy team his rookie year, where he was just incredible. But yeah, Saquon Barkley's never had a good offensive line. He's never even had an average offensive line. So now he gets a top tier elite offensive line, and it's gonna be scary. It's gonna be fun. It's this this. I think this is gonna be Saquon's best season yet. So I like the fit for him. Obviously, he goes to the division rivals, which is funny. Giants fans are going to be very salty. You hate to see one of your top players move on. But yeah, I love the fit. I think Saquon's going to be awesome. I'm going to give it an A. I think it's exciting. I think Saquon Barkley behind just a okay offensive line is an incredible football player, but behind an elite offensive line, I mean, it's you know, the sky's the limit for this guy. I mean, he is so talented.
Saquon Barkley and Jalen Hurts in the same backfield, you can probably lock him in as a top five pick in fantasy in this situation. It's going to be incredible. Hurts likes to throw to his running backs. It's going to be beautiful stuff. But with that, let's move on to Josh Jacobs signing with the Packers on a 4-year, $48 million deal. The domino effect was Aaron Jones getting released. There was like a 30-minute time gap where Packers fans thought they were going to have the running back duo of Josh Jacobs and Aaron Jones. That would have been electric stuff. But no, Josh Jacobs with the Packers, it's so fun. You're the youngest team in the NFL. You have damn near zero needs. You had like one need coming into the day, and it was safety, maybe corner. And you get Xavier McKinney and Josh Jacobs. It's electric stuff. I really think they're Super Bowl contenders, truly Super Bowl contenders the next few years because of the way that Gutekunst has set up this roster. Jordan Love is going to keep growing with Josh Jacobs he can lean on. And it's great offensive line. It's beautiful. A plus plus. I'm just biased because I think the Packers are going to be so good, but I think this is an A.
Yeah, I really like it. Obviously, it's weird getting rid of Aaron Jones, but Josh Jacobs is a year removed from leading the entire NFL in rushing. I don't think he. I think the scheme last year was a little awkward for him when they were changing up the offense, and they kind of hurt Josh Jacobs. But yeah, I think he's going to thrive. I think he's going to thrive. I love it. I'm going to give it an A. Josh Jacobs is still young. I believe he's 25 or 26 years old. You lock him up for the rest of his prime. I think it's great. I love it, and you get a hard nose runner. So A from me. I'm feeling generous today. I'm giving out a lot of A's, but I really like a lot of these fits.
Yeah, I mean a lot of good fits, and you can't help but give it an A. And yeah, Josh Jacobs is just such a good runner. It's been like honestly underrated over the last year or so. As he is just one of the best pure running backs in this NFL. Do you want to just try to predict where Derrick Henry goes? I think we both predicted in our last episode that he would be a Raven, and it's kind of looking like he's going to be a Raven, if not a Cowboy.
Yeah, no, it looks like the Ravens have put a contract offer on the table for Derrick Henry. 6.5 is looking like the range average per year, 6.5 million. So it's kind of just makes too much sense. And I mean, Derrick Henry is actually still a really good running back last year with a horrible offensive line. You go behind again, you upgrade your offensive line, with the Baltimore Ravens. That would be fantastic. So I'd love to see that fit. But yeah, still waiting on that news to break. Talk about it more tomorrow or the next day. But Tony Pollard going to the Tennessee Titans down on a 3-year, $24 million deal, teaming up with Tajay Spears, two more receiving back types, I guess. It was a little weird. Um, I don't know. I guess I don't know how I feel about this one. I'm gonna give it a C plus right now because I don't feel like they complement each other very well. But I don't doubt Brian Callahan's plan for these two. I think it could be very fun, very electric. But yeah, I don't know if I love the fit.
Yeah, like it's cool. Tony Pollard, he's a fun receiving back, but at the same time, it kind of hurts that Joe Mixon just got released and Bill Callahan can just, Bill and Brian Callahan can't just have Joe Mixon in their run game. And I feel like he's the perfect complement to Tyjae Spears, who Joe
100%.
Mixon and Tyjae Spears is like a perfect thunder and lightning. You got Pollard and Spears who kind of have the same specialties. I genuinely don't know who's the better runner. Like who's gonna be the first down back. Like I don't know who's going to be like the actual running back in this. Like Tajay Spears might be the actual running back and Pollard might just be the receiving back. I don't know. It might be flipped though. Like this is a weird pairing. So I'll give it a C minus.
I would probably go with Tajay Spears as the RB1. I think I would. I don't know. He's younger. He's a little bit. I felt like he had a lot more explosive plays last year, and I felt like we saw Tony Pollard. He doesn't thrive in that RB1 role. I feel like he needs a true bell cow in front of him is where he does the best. Kind of like Austin Eckler. I mean, Austin Eckler when he became the bell cow, he struggled. He scored a lot of touchdowns, but he did struggle. He was better when he was paired with Melvin Gordon. That's kind of how I see this fit. So it's interesting. But yeah, I mean, I would guess Tajay Spears, in my opinion, should be their first and second down back with Tony Pollard probably coming in on passing downs and being the receiving back. But I mean, yeah, it just doesn't complement each other very well. But I mean, I like the players, so I'm gonna give it a C plus, but I don't like the fit.
Just an interesting fit. You just mentioned him, similar player. Let's move on to Austin Eckler signing with the Washington Commanders on a 2-year, $11.43 million deal. And this is another interesting one, another interesting fit. You're going to pair him with Brian Robinson. So what's your grade for this one and thoughts?
Um, I mean, Austin Eckler had a big decline last year, and everyone saw it. I think Brian Robinson obviously will be the lead back in this situation with Austin Eckler coming in on passing downs, and I think Austin Eckler can be okay in that kind of role. I think yeah he does better with maybe about 11 touches a game, and half of those being receiving targets. So I'm going to give it a. I don't love the value of it, to be honest with you. I do think the Commanders overpaid for an aging Austin Eckler, but I'll give it a C. I don't love it, but I mean, I get it. I get the fit. You got a 6 foot tall, 200 pound Brian Robinson, and you pair him with an Austin Eckler who I guess Austin Eckler's probably best attribute at this point is pass blocking, believe it or not. With how small he is, he's really smart with picking up, blitzes and protecting the quarterback. But yeah, I think it's about a C for me.
Yeah, he'll be a good situational, third down back. He can pick up the blocks. He's a good receiving back. He's always
He's
been a
good at
really
scoring touchdowns too. So I mean, he knows how to find his way in the end zone. It obviously declined a lot last year, but he's good at that too.
Yeah, definitely. It is a good compliment to Brian Robinson as well. So I don't mind it. I'll give it a C, but it's nothing crazy. I feel like you could find Eckler in the draft pretty easily. He's up there in age, so C minus for me. But let's move on to DeAndre Swift. He goes to the Chicago Bears to pair with Caleb Williams on a 3-year, $24 million deal. I'm gonna give this one a D plus. I'll get my grade out of the way. I don't love it because I feel like Marshawn Lloyd from USC is just a DeAndre Swift clone. Trey Benson might be a higher tier DeAndre Swift clone. Like you could find DeAndre Swift, and it's been kind of proven with his value in the NFL. And this is a little bit too much money for me too for DeAndre Swift, who I feel like you could just find in the draft, or Roshan Johnson. Like, am I the only one that likes Roshan Johnson in this world? I really liked him out of
And
Texas,
Khalil
but
Herbert. Like they have good running backs already. It's just I don't know. Go on though.
no, I mean you can just talk because I don't think I have much more to say. Like I'll just give this one a D plus, and I don't love it because I wanted to get Caleb like a really like a cooler running back, a better receiving running back, honestly.
Yeah, I'm gonna give it an F. I hate it. I think this was the first signing of the day, or the first verbally commitment of the day, and it felt like it was just honestly they were impatient. Felt like the Bears were impatient. Felt like they obviously were desperate for a guy, and they went out there and just immediately gave him a bag of 8 million average per year for DeAndre Swift. I feel like Swift definitely thrived behind the Eagles' offensive line. I think he was a little bit carried and maybe a little bit overvalued. He did have a really good season though, but at $8 million per year. I don't love the value. I don't love the fit. I like, yeah, like you said, I like Roshan Johnson. I like Khalil Herbert, and I feel like you could have found, somebody cheaper in the second wave. I felt like you could have found somebody a lot better, in my opinion. I would have much rather had Zach Moss, in my opinion, for what he ended up signing for. I think it was 5 million, or not 5 million, maybe it was 5 million per year.
It
But I would
was.
rather had, yeah, I would have rather had Zach Moss. I'd rather had Gus Edwards, J.K. Dobbins. There's a whole handful I would have rather had, but it felt like the Bears were just panicking, and I would have rather just paid a little bit more for Josh Jacobs or Saquon Barkley or waited for Aaron Jones or Joe Mixon. So I actually honestly hate it. So yeah, it's an F grade for me. It felt like the Bears just panicked and overpaid immediately.
Exactly. You could pair Caleb Williams with Aaron Jones, who's such a good receiving back. He would have such an easy any running back has the easiest job in the world. Any running back of Caleb Williams has the easiest job in the world. So Aaron Jones would really excel in that situation. So yeah, I don't love it. DeAndre Swift will be all right in that, rotation, I guess. But we'll talk about four other signings kind of together. Devin Singletary to the Giants after they lose Saquon. Gus Edwards to the Chargers to pair up with Greg Roman's run game. They're familiar. Surprised they didn't go for Dobbins as well. I could maybe see them still going for Dobbins, but Zach Moss to the Bengals on a 2-year deal. They released Joe Mixon, and then Antonio Gibson to the Patriots to be a receiving back. They love to have those third down backs. But what are your thoughts on those four?
Yeah, Devin Singletary. I mean, I don't love that. I'd probably give it a C. It's fine. It's just like we lost Saquon Barkley. Let's just get somebody in the room. I mean, I felt like he did have a pretty good resurgence at the end of the season, but it kind of just felt. I guess I don't love the value there for Devin Singletary either. I feel like you could find a seventh round running back who could contribute the same. Gus Edwards to the Chargers. I'm gonna be a little biased. I think the deal is great. 2 years, $6.5 million. It's a bargain deal. You get a bruiser, and Gus Edwards is ranked third in average yards over expected in carries with zero point 0.7 over the last 3 years. So I think it's a much needed player for the Chargers. Fits in Greg Roman's scheme, familiarity with Joe Ortiz. So I really like that. I may be biased, but I really like the move. I'm gonna give it a B plus, and then Gibson to the Patriots. Not super exciting, but a solid running back on a really good value deal. I think he's still got a lot left in the tank, and I'll give that one a B. But sorry, just to continue talking. But Vikings are in contract talks with Aaron Jones as we're speaking right now, so that might be
Ooh.
locked in here soon within the next couple hours or tomorrow.
Okay, yeah, I love that you replaced Alexander Madison for Aaron Jones, and you still from your division rival. That's a big upgrade, and that's you have Ty Chandler in there as well. I really like that, and I think that's kind of ideal for Aaron Jones. So
Yeah, that's exciting. I think we could probably chalk that one in. The
mhm.
Vikings are very familiar with how good Aaron Jones is. He's absolutely, demolished them in the in the division for years. And yeah, they're in contract talks right now. I think I'm already going to grade that if it happens an A. But yeah, I love the fit of Aaron Jones to the Packers. That's damn near beautiful. I didn't even think of that when we were just talking 10 minutes ago.
Aaron Jones to the Vikings is an automatic A. Maybe even if he was the Bears, it would be an automatic A. But yeah, I'll give Devin Singletary. I think I'll give that a B just because the familiarity with Daboll, and he really is coming off a good season. I don't love the money. I guess B minus. Gus Edwards, that's why not? You're paying him 6.5 million for 2 years. It's a great deal. He's a great goal line back, so I'll give that one a B plus as well. Zach Moss, I love that. I like you. Going for a value guy. He's a value Joe Mixon, really. So I like that. I'll give that a B plus as well. And then Gibson is a B.
Yeah, love it, love it. It felt like running backs day. That's why we spent so long on them. But a lot of running backs took over the free agency market, signing in the first wave, getting their bags. So a lot different from last year. The market is changing with the running backs, which you can clearly see this year. But yeah, crazy day for the running backs. GG's, you got your bags.
Yep, and we'll move on to the receivers. Real quick, do we want to just lock in T. Higgins to the Titans now that the Jaguars have kind of already gotten a receiver? I think T. Higgins to the Titans is damn near a lock unless the Panthers or Patriots make a real push and last second offer. I think T. Higgins to the Titans, pairing up with Brian Callahan is definitely the thing that's the most logical. That I'm sure T Higgins would like that situation as well. So you think T's gonna go pair up with Will Levis?
I think it makes a lot of sense. They're in desperate need of a true alpha wide receiver one. T. Higgins is just hit, he's in his prime right now. He's got a few years left in his prime. He's a really good receiver. There's familiarity there. He's already said in an interview that he would love to go be paired up with Will Levis and Brian Callahan. So yeah, I mean, and he requested a trade this morning. I think we can probably lock T. Higgins on, being traded, and it looks like the Titans are the most likely outcome.
100%. And then we'll move on to Michael Pittman re-signing with the Colts, 3 years, 70 million. Don't need to talk about this. I guess let's just talk about Michael Pittman and Mike Evans together, the two top, free agents outside of T. Higgins, who was, for always a franchise tag candidate. So Michael Pittman, Mike Evans, they're both back. I'll give Pittman an A because he's young. You knew he was going to come back. He's a good fit. You have Anthony Richardson. You need to give him all the help you can because that could be an electric offense. So A for me. Mike Evans is more on the B side, B plus, just because of the age. But I understand you bring him back with Baker. You kind of had to bring him back after the great year last year. He's a legend, Hall of Famer. So can't complain about it. I'll give him a B plus.
Yeah, kind of felt like the Colts just had to do it. So, I'll give it a B. You had to do it. The value is fine. It's not incredible. I mean, he's making over 20 million APY. So it's not incredible value, but you had to do it. You had to bring your wide receiver one back. And Mike Evans, Tampa Bay legend, they give him an absolute bag for his age. And, he's not slowing down. He hasn't showed any signs of slowing down, so well deserved. You know, um, I'll give both of them B's. I don't hate it. I don't think the value's incredible, but well deserved by both of the players.
And let's move on to the Jacksonville Jaguars new receiver room. They make a few moves. It looks like they're gonna replace deep threat Calvin Ridley with deep threat in parentheses Gabe Davis with 3 years, $39 million. This is a Marquez Valdez Scantling contract vibes for sure. We'll talk about Devin Duvernay, who signed with the Jaguars as well, with a 2 year, $8.5 million deal. Really good value for a guy that can honestly, almost start in your slot. And he's a all pro special teamer. I could see them cutting Zay Jones, so I could see Gabe Davis, Christian Kirk, and honestly Duvernay being that starting trio. And I mean, I don't like it. I don't. I'm gonna give the Gabe Davis signing a D. I'll give Duvernay like a C plus, B minus. But I don't like the Gabe Davis signing at all. That's a lot of money. I thought it was going to be cheaper. I saw that contract. It's gross. It's not going to be, it's not going to move the needle. That's for sure. He's a downgrade from Ridley, who wasn't enough at all. So not good, really.
Yeah, that kind of made me laugh. I feel like I mean, going into Jacksonville, Trevor Lawrence, I feel like exactly you know what you're getting out of Gabe Davis, and it's about damn near the exact same you got out of Gabe Davis in Buffalo. It's just like I don't know. I guess he could have a good game. I mean, it depends if one or two catches go for 80 yards and a touchdown. But yeah, I mean, for $13 million per year for Gabe Davis, I mean, that's legit wide receiver two money. And it's just bad value, not a great player, and a downgrade. And you gave him a bag. Look, you've been better off just trying your luck, in the second, third round of the draft and probably finding somebody better than Gabe Davis and not having to pay him $40 million for the next 3 years. So, um, yeah, I don't like it at all, and I'm not scared to be harsh with my grades. I will give I'm not scared to be very generous, but I'm giving an F to that. I absolutely hate it. I think it's gross.
I think the biggest winners from that deal, other than Gabe Davis, are the Bills because it was a pretty gross one, honestly. The Jaguars did some interesting moves. They got Will Lutz finesse from them, who we probably won't talk about, but that was funny. The only team to manage a signing so badly so far that they left. So that was interesting as well. But the last receiver we'll talk about just real quick, Kendrick Bourne, coming back to the Patriots, no brainer. They had zero weapons on the roster. Got to bring the one good one back. So you like it.
Yeah, no, Kendrick Bourne pretty solid. I mean, you got Demario Davis too, or sorry, Demario Douglas. Excuse me. But yeah, I mean, just two okay wide receivers, more of a wide receiver 2 and 3. Decent value. Don't hate it. Definitely time for the Patriots to go find an alpha wide receiver one, though, in my opinion.
100%. And then we'll go on to tight ends real quick. Three re-signings to highlight the top here with the Dalton Schultz going back to the Texans to be Stroud's security blanket with a 3-year, $36 million deal. Hunter Henry going back to the Patriots on a 3-year, $27 million deal, and Noah Fant to the Seahawks on a 2-year, $21 million deal. So I'll give Dalton Schultz a B. I think it's, a good security blanket for CJ Stroud. You can't complain at it. He had a good year last year. Wasn't the most reliable at times, had some drops, had some fumbles and big moments. I will say that. Probably could have, gone Jatavian Sanders in the second round and could have been a little bit more exciting. So I'm not going to go too crazy on my grade for that one. For Hunter Henry, I'll go B plus. He's been so good for the Patriots. That's a pretty good value. Noah Fant, you lost two tight ends that we'll talk about here in a second, so I'll give that one a B, I guess. What about you?
Yeah, Dalton Schultz kind of had to do it. He played good last year, good chemistry with CJ Stroud. So about a B, not great. You gave him a $2 million raise per year, lock him down for 3 years. So nothing great. B, Hunter Henry. I don't know. I feel like Hunter Henry's kind of just aging out, and I feel like he's just gonna slowly start declining. And I don't know. I mean, $27 million over 3 years. I mean, what does that end up being? $9 million a year. I mean, what is that? That ends up being pretty high for a tight end. That's got to be top 10 percentile right there. So I mean, it's fine. Yeah, I mean, like you said, a Jatavion Sanders would have been definitely more exciting and an upgrade in the second round. But again, I guess you don't have to waste a draft pick. So C plus for me there. Seattle gets to keep one of their three tight ends. Noah Fant, probably the guy with the most upside. 2 years, $21 million. Not great value for Noah Fant, who really just hasn't really broke out yet. Like we're still a lot left to be desired of Noah Fant, but he's still, an okay tight end. So, a C there. Kind of two C's and a B for me on those top three guys.
And I'm sorry, man. PFF is out here disrespecting your boy Will Dissly. Speaking of the Seahawks losing their tight ends, Will Dissly isn't even on here for some reason. So, what's your grade and thoughts on Will Dissly to the Chargers?
You know, you love to see it, baby. That's what you like to see. You have, some of the worst blocking tight ends in the NFL, and you go get yourself a Will Dissly, who's like third in PFF's grade, right behind George Kittle for blocking. So, it was a pretty good value signing. You tell me what do you think Greg Roman and Jim Harbaugh are going to bring to your team? It's going to be a running game. You go get yourself a big bruising running back, and then you go get yourself a big bruising tight end who can block. That's how you upgrade your run game that's been so terrible for so long. So I think it's a great fit. I think it's a great value. They lock him down for 3 years for like $14 million. So it's a good value for a blocking tight end. So I'm excited. I love it. I'll give it an A. Not biased. Just know the situation.
Yeah, Greg Roman gets his blocking tight end. He's coming off a few great run blocking seasons. He's really specialized in that role. For the Seahawks, I'll give that one a A minus. Honestly, you can never complain at a elite run blocking tight end. Another Seahawks tight end that they lost, Kobe Parkinson, the crazy athlete coming out of Stanford as a receiver a few years ago. I always loved him as a prospect. Always wanted him to succeed, and I'm going to give the Rams an A for throwing the dart at this crazy athlete, this crazy receiver of a tight end. He's huge, he's like 6'8", and he made a few nice touchdowns with Gino the last few years. So I like this deal. I like the shot for the Rams. A high upside tight end shot that I think he can be a good starter for them.
Yeah, no, I really like Colby Parkinson too, and a very underrated blocker as well. Colby Parkinson is just a big athlete. The Rams not scared to throw a bag today. Clearly not scared to throw a bag today. Spent a lot of money, did a lot of damage to that salary cap, but got some good guys. And Colby Parkinson, I'll give it a solid C plus. I think it's a let's go B. Let's go B plus. B plus for them. I think it's a good value. 3 years, 22 million. Under a very underrated tight end. And, these Seattle tight ends all getting bags today.
Yeah, like you said, he could block, and the Rams spent a bag on that blocking. They spent a bag on the interior and Kobe Parkinson. We'll talk about the interior moves they made here in a second, but let's
Kyron
start off.
Williams, stock up for fantasy even more, baby.
Oh,
There,
they're
there's
investing. They're investing fully in Kyrie Williams. They moved Steve Avila to center, and then they signed two of the biggest name guards of all the free agency. So we'll talk about that. We'll go start with the tackles. The Patriots retain, one of the bigger offensive linemen. He's probably the most versatile available offensive lineman free agent, Mike Onwenu. 3 years, 57 million. You cannot complain at that. The Patriots needed to retain their talent because they didn't have much talent, and their only good players are free agents. So this was a must for the Patriots. It's good to get him back. You can plug him in anywhere on that offensive line. I'll give this one an A. He's one of the better offensive linemen available.
Yeah, no, essential need, especially when you're bringing in maybe a rookie quarterback. Got to protect them. You bring in Jacoby Brissett obviously as a bridge right now, but you're looking to get a rookie quarterback in the room. Lock down that tackle spot, and when it was really solid, you love it. I think for how good of a player he is, I think it's good value. I'll give it an A minus.
All right. And then Jermaine Illuminor, he goes over the Giants to probably be their their swing tackle. He's their Evan Neal contingency plan, essentially. So you love to see that. He's been a good starter for the Raiders for the last few years. Anything you want to say to Jermaine before we go to interior?
Yeah, no, no, not a lot in the offensive tackle realm today. Not a lot of incredible offensive tackles to be found. So more quiet of a day for these guys, but yeah, not too much. Don't have too much of an opinion on Jermaine. Need to watch a little bit more tape on him. But yeah, I mean, two of the moves getting done by the Patriots and one by the Giants for offensive tackle. So very quiet day.
Yeah, definitely a quiet day for tackle. The biggest news was Bakhtiari getting released by the Packers, and he's either going to be a Jet or retire. So definitely monitor Bakhtiari. We'll move on to the interior. We'll talk about them at the same time. I want to start off with the Rams because you get the best interior available in Kevin Dotson for 3 years, 48 million, fully deserved contract after his breakout after getting cut by the Steelers. Terrible identification from the Steelers, but the Rams took advantage. They also go for Jonah Jackson, who had a great Pro Bowl season for the Lions on a 3 year, $51 million deal. So they're going to move Steve Avila on the inside at center, and they're going to have three maulers, three massive 300-pound plus humans on that interior to clear space for Kyron. That's exciting. So Kevin Dotson A plus, Jonah Jackson A plus, just because I mean you're going all in on the interior. You can't hate that. You're investing in your quarterback and running back.
No, yeah, A for the Rams. You go get your dudes. You go get your dudes. You get your big uglies in the middle, and Kyron Williams, man. Like I'm saying, stock up for Kyron Williams. He's going to be able to run up the middle, no problem. Your interior of your offensive line is looking sexy. Gotta love it.
Absolutely. We'll go on to the biggest name center to sign Lloyd Cushenberry to the Titans. 4 years, 50 million. He got the bag, completely priced himself out of Denver. They literally couldn't afford to pay him if they wanted to because he was one of the best centers in the NFL last year. And the Titans, get a super solid center. Bill Callahan gets someone that he can make into a star, and he's going to be good for Will Levis to you know a good solid center for Will Levis. I think it's a missed opportunity for the Steelers, by the way, who I feel like Lloyd Cushenberry was just the perfect Russ center because he's a little bit shorter, a little bit stouter, so Russ could see over him better. Already had that connection. So I think the Steelers kind of missed that opportunity. I'll give the Titans an A. Why not?
Yeah, no, you can't hate it. You can't hate it. Really, I would say out of all these guys, he's definitely the best center. He's definitely the youngest. He's definitely going into his prime right now. So, you go lock up a guy, your offensive line was atrocious. You go bring him in with one of the best, offensive line coaches of the last decade. And yeah, you don't worry about it. That's an A. It was big need. Big need for Will Levis, big need for the Titans. Yeah, so A for me too.
And then quick grades on the rest of the center signings. Aaron Brewer to the Dolphins. You lose Connor Williams, so it is a downgrade. I'll give that a B minus. He's he's not the best pass blocker at all. Andre James back to the Raiders. It was actually announced that he wasn't going to be back, but he's back, so that's interesting. I'll give that one a B minus. That's a little bit hefty. And then be it as back with Dan Quinn over to the Washington Commanders. I do like that. They needed a center pretty badly actually, so I'll give that one a B plus. I like that.
Yeah, B dash, I would give it an A. Aaron Brewer with the Dolphins, I think that's going to be a C for me. And Andre James, we'll go another C grade for me right there. So okay values overall with the centers. Nothing, no one really high end outside of Cushenberry though.
And then big time contract, big time signing. I want to ask you about Robert Hunt from the Dolphins to the Panthers. 5 years, 100 million. The Panthers are fully investing in number nine, which is what they needed to do. You love to see it, but that's a lot of money. What's your grade on that
$100 million for Robert Hunt.
one?
Yeah, I mean, I like the player. I really do like the player, but the contract, man, $20 million a year for an interior offensive lineman who I wouldn't even say is top 10, top 15 in my opinion. I mean, I think he's a good player, but ooh, I mean, I think I just have to give it a C grade just because I feel like the value's not there. You overpaid. I would have rather gotten John Runyon, honestly, for a 3 years, 30 million. I think that's a lot better of a deal. But yeah, 20 million average annual pay per year, $100 million. It's crazy, man. That's crazy. That's like elite wide receiver pay. That's mid-tier quarterback pay. That's a lot of money. So, I like the player, but the value is just not there. So C.
Yeah, it is interesting. That's a huge bag. He's been a really good guard for the Dolphins. So I'll give it a B minus. It's a huge bag, but protecting number nine is ultimately the goal and what needs to be done. And we'll move on to Damian Lewis as well. You bring in Damian Lewis. That Panthers offensive line is Ike Ekwonu, Robert Hunt at left guard. You've got Austin Corbett, who will probably move to center, and then you've got Damian Lewis coming over from the Seahawks as well at right guard, and then you got Taylor Moton at right tackle. So Panthers are set on the offensive line. They're protecting number nine, and now they just need to get him weapons. So I like that they're attacking that offensive line at least.
Yeah, you don't hate, protecting your rookie quarterback who's absolutely beat up last year. You got some dudes on that line, so you love the overall plan of it. You do. And now you got to go get him some playmakers.
And then Ezra Cleveland back with the Jaguars, Graham Glasgow back with the Lions, which is a great signing. Graham Glasgow has been so good for the Lions. I'm salty the Broncos let him go for nothing, and he's just been rejuvenated and an all-pro for the Lions. So unreal signing. You get him back after losing Jonah Jackson, so that was much needed. And then John Runyon to the Giants. They needed interior help badly. They needed offensive line help badly. You love to see it.
Yeah, no, I mean all solid players right there. I think you could just lock in B grades right there for all of them, honestly. Good values, good players. Not a ton to talk about, not superstars, but just solid interior players.
Then moving on to the defense, two big name interior defensive linemen that re-signed with their teams, Chris Jones and Madubuike. I think I'll speak for you and I'll give both those grades an A. But let's start with Christian Wilkins to the Raiders. That's a fun one. 4 years, 110 million, and you get Malcolm Kuntz and Max Crosby some help on that defense, and that defensive line should wreak some havoc. That should be fun. What's your grade for that?
Yeah, I mean, when you're building an identity, you built one right there. I mean, that's Christian Wilkins is a stud of an interior player. You're paying him $27.5 million per year, which is crazy. I mean, that's Bosa numbers, that's TJ Watt numbers right there. But yeah, I mean, I'm gonna give it a B plus. I mean, pairing him with Max Crosby, and that just already solid Raiders defensive line, it's the strong get stronger in that situation, and I think it's a B plus.
Yeah, 110 million is crazy, but he is one of the, more sought after free agents, one of the better free agents in this whole class. So I'll give it a B plus as well. I think that is the perfect grade. Leonard Williams, Grover Stewart, both back as well. Maurice Hurst coming off a great season, back as well. So some re-signings, you love to see those. I feel like those are kind of just automatic A minus, B pluses. You can't really fault, a good interior defensive lineman, underrated. value position. Greg Gaines being brought back as well, and then the Cardinals bring in Bilal Nichols and Justin Jones, to former Bears, kind of good rotational defensive lineman. Can't hate that either.
Yeah, he helped Jonathan Gannon out, but I mean, the real star of the show, obviously, who hit free agency was Wilkins. Chris Jones made a Midabeke locked up before, but yeah, definitely Christian Wilkins was the exciting one, and yeah, it's gonna be fun. It's always fun to see these guys in different uniforms and to see the different contributions. But yeah, definitely the star of the show there was Christian Wilkins.
And then moving on to edge, Josh Allen back with the Jaguars, as everyone on earth expected. That's an A. Brian Burns already talked about that to the Giants, but Bryce Huff to the Eagles, something we called on our pod yesterday. I straight up said the Eagles are moving away from Josh Sweat and Hassan Reddick. It's kind of obvious that they're allowing them to take trade calls, and their starting edge duo will be Nolan Smith and Bryce Huff. And I was right. They give Bryce a 3-year, $51 million deal. The Jets clearly did not value him enough. They didn't value him at what he was worth, and he's a really good edge. He's going to be way more productive than he was in New York with the Eagles. I think it's a perfect fit. You got Vic Fangio coaching him up. I'm going to give this one an A.
Yeah, no, definitely got to shout out the Seekers here, man. Identified it last night on the pod, called our shot on it. We're right today, so you gotta love to see that. And yeah, it's going to be interesting to see where Josh Sweat and Hassan Reddick end up when they end up moving on from them. They're both currently on the trade block. But yeah, the Eagles just kind of showed their card right there, and they went and got their dude, and they're ready to move off of their other dudes. So kind of crazy. Another really fun. I'll give that one. I mean, Bryce Huff was a stud last year. I think he's gonna plug into that Eagles defense, no problem. If you're able to sign Bryce Huff and then get trade value and get those contracts off your book with Sweat and Reddick, I think that's an A+ move. Honestly, you're looking ahead and you're collecting draft capital, and honestly, you're might be upgrading. I think Bryce Huff played better than both of those two last year, to be honest with you. So I think it's an A grade. Another one I'm really excited about is Jonathan Grenard. Gets poached from the Texans, 4 years, $76 million. Got the bag there. Definitely a guy. Minnesota Vikings moving off of Daniil Hunter. They get younger. They get on a better contract. I think that's another A. Love to see it.
Yeah, Jonathan Grenard, a huge breakout last year, well deserved contract. And Brian Flores is going to love this guy. They're going to be a perfect pairing. I think he's going to have a breakout season here with the Vikings and be really productive. You move offer from Daniil Hunter for this younger, more youthful kind of version of Daniil Hunter. Honestly, I think he can be that powerful edge rusher. So I really like it. I'll give the Grenard signing a B+ just because that's a lot of money. But Zadarius Smith comes back, a few re-signings that's kind of to be expected. Leonard Floyd goes to the Niners. That's pretty fun. Reunites with Brandon Staley, juggernaut defensive mind. But I want to hear your thoughts on Dorrance Armstrong going to the Cowboys because he will reunite with Dan Quinn. Perfect fit. Kind of a surprise contract. It doesn't even say it on here, but 3 years, $45 million for Dorrance Armstrong. Armstrong. So is that he's coming off a great season. Dan Quinn loves this guy, but is that a little bit surprising to you? 45 million for
That is very surprising. That is a bag. Obviously Dan Quinn knows him. Dan Quinn sees something, and he's gonna plug and play perfect. He knows the system. He's a plug and play type of guy, so I don't hate it. Definitely a bag for sure. Maybe could have gotten him at a little bit more of a value, but Dan Quinn gets his guy, so C+. But yeah, that one was definitely a head scratcher. It's interesting.
Whoa, did the Texans actually pay Danico Autry 10 million a year?
Yeah. Yes.
Whoa. I did not
Yes, two
realize that he
years,
was
two
worth that.
years, 20 million. Kind of interesting. I know. I was surprised on that too.
I almost feel out of the loop because I was expecting like a $1 million deal. I did not think that was wow. That's a lot of money. But yeah, I mean that's another, the Texans get more help on that defensive line. I guess you can't complain. They also got Foley Fatukasi. So Texans are eating, but that's a lot of money for Autry. It was like 32.
Yeah, that was a weird one. It really was. Yeah, 10 million APY. Definitely a weird one. AJ Epinesa resigns, Taekwon Lewis resigns, Marcus Davenport, 1 year, 6.5. That's a better value right there.
That's a
Going
damn
over to
value.
Houston. Yeah. You pair him on the other side of Aiden Hutchinson, kind of forces, you also got a corner. You're kind of attacking your two biggest needs right there. So I'm going to give that one an A plus plus. That's a great value. I think he fits perfectly in that Dan Campbell defense, and yeah, you love to see it.
Yeah, the Vikings literally paid him like a $20 million deal last year. I mean, I don't know, it was like over 10 million though. So definitely a good value opposite of Aiden. You could bring in another rookie too, but we'll move on to linebacker. Patrick Queen has been heavily linked to the Seahawks, so definitely expect that to be announced here soon. And we've been saying that for a while. I think Patrick Queen can be locked in as a Seahawk, and that's an A plus. No one needs to talk about that. Frankie Louvu, the very versatile, he could play a middle linebacker, he can be an edge. He's more effective as a pass rusher though. Frankie Louvu goes to the Commanders. He gets a complete bag, but he will be solid. The Panthers are going to need to add some edges though because they lost Frankie Louvu and Brian Burns. So Frankie Louvu to the Commanders, I'll give a B plus. That is solid. You lost both your edges via trade. What are you going to grade Frankie Louvu?
Yeah, I think it's a great fit. The Commanders, they need better players. They have a lot of money to spend. Frankie Louvu, one of the more sought after, honestly, maybe my number one linebacker in this entire class of the free agency pool. Lock him up for 3 years. Yeah, I think it was a much needed signing, and so I'm going to give that one an A.
And then Jordan Brooks goes to the Dolphins, 3 years, 26 million, the tackling machine. You have him opposite of David Long. I like this one. I definitely I like the signing. I think, the Dolphins needed someone that they needed a signing, and this one brought the fans some hope. I think Jordan Brooks will be an impact on that defense. He's all over the field making tackles. I like this.
Yeah,
I'll
I
give
mean,
it a B plus.
I'm surprised Seattle actually let this guy walk. To be honest with you, I thought he would have been damn near perfect. You pair him with and get Patrick Queen, for Mike McDonald, and I think you're rocking and rolling with kind of like your Roquan Smith, Patrick Queen type of duo. But the Dolphins cash in and benefit off of it. I mean, $8.6 million per year. I think that's incredible value. I think Jordan Brooks is one of the more underrated linebackers in the NFL. And yeah, just a tackling machine. He's all over the field. Yeah, another A grade for me. I really like that one.
Yeah, I'll give that one a B plus, and then Aziz Al-Shaair to the Texans from the Titans, who was on the Niners a few years ago with D'Amico Ryan, so they're going to be familiar. He's going to be balling over there on the Texans. 3 years, 34 million, but he is just so fun, such a good linebacker. Can hit. He's good in coverage. He can really do it all, and he's going to be perfect for D'Amico. I'll give this one a B plus. You do lose Blake Cashman, who signs with the Vikings on a 3 year deal. Blake Cashman's coming off a great breakout season. I think whoever D'Amico Ryans has playing at linebacker, he's going to have playing good. But I think Al-Shaair could be like transcendent next year. I think he's going to completely break out. What do you grade Al-Shaair and Blake Cashman, both kind of swapping?
Alshire, A plus. I love that fit with D'Amico Ryan's familiarity. They need that true alpha linebacker one. I believe Denzel Perryman, yeah, he's on here. I think that is just a great replacement. You get a little younger at the position, you get a little bit better at the position. So I love that. Yeah, Blake Cashman, going over to Minnesota. And it's pretty good. He's pretty solid player. I'm going to give that one a C plus. But yeah, Alshire, definitely my probably one of my. I'm gonna go ahead and say I think that's my favorite sign of the day. I love seeing Aziz Al Shaair pairing back up with D'Amico Ryan's with the Texans. I think the Texans are just so fun with what they've been doing these past couple of years, and I think that is just a perfect fit.
Yeah, Al-Shaair is a badass. He's got like the best linebacker aesthetic like of all time. He's gonna be sick on the Texans. I'm gonna give Blake Cashman like honestly an A minus though. He's coming off such a good year. I thought whoever got him was gonna get a huge steal. So I think Blake Cashman's gonna ball for Brian Flores. Drew Tranquil back with the Chiefs. The Chiefs are getting everyone back. It's crazy that they can just resign everyone. It looks like they're gonna lose Willie Gay at least, but yeah, they got Drew Tranquil, Leo Chanel, and Nick Bolton, so they're chilling.
Yeah, they're looking good. Their linebacker room is just A plus. They get Tranquil, who's very underrated linebacker, very good in pass coverage. So that's an A grade for me. Not going to complain about that one too much. Some smaller guys, Sione Taki, Anthony Walker. Not too much of an opinion on those. Just okay depth pieces. Veteran players, and then Kenneth Murray Jr. signing with the Titans on a 2-year, $19 million dollar deal while we've been live on the pod. What do you make about that? I think that's, coming from a Charger fan, I think they definitely overpaid.
Yeah, no, the money does not make sense. The player makes sense. You lost Alshire, you lost David Long last year. You need, to play a linebacker, So I like getting the young upside linebacker for the young team. I don't like the money. I'd probably give this like a C. You could find linebackers so easily. I do want to talk about though the Browns losing two of their three linebackers. They keep JOK obviously, but talking to the Patriots just seems like the perfect Patriot. That's an A to me. I know Gerard Mayo is fiending him. Anthony Walker's another tackling machine. The Dolphins get him as well, so that's definitely good. The Dolphins get two solid linebackers, and then the Browns compensate by getting Jordan Hicks, who's just a solid all around veteran. But yeah, anything else you want to say on the linebackers?
No, no. Pretty exciting stuff from the linebackers. Some real studs out there, and yeah, there was some pretty good value out there. But yeah, I think the Titans who waited maybe a little too long definitely panicked and overpaid just barely.
Yep, and then moving on to corner, the CB1 in the class, Jalen Johnson is back with the Bears, 4 years, 76 million. I think we both give this one an A. 100%. He was like the best corner in the NFL last year.
Oh yeah, 100%. Yeah, Jalen Johnson, dog of a corner, true outside alpha, CB1. Yeah, it's obvious. You lock him up to a long term deal. Love it.
You had to keep him there. Obvious move, a no-brainer move. Cheeto Awuzie to the Titans. Going with Brian Callahan from the Bengals. That should be fun. Yeah, there you lose Sean Murphy Bunting. You need the outside corner. I think he's going to be a good solidified CB1. The Titans could be more competitive than some people think. I think Brian Callahan's going to be a great coach. And yeah, Cheeto Awuzie is like a CB1, so I like the signing. I'll give this one a B plus.
Yeah, I absolutely loved it. Definitely a guy that I wanted my team to sign. Very underrated corner. Just solid, solid. So yeah, I'm gonna give that one an A. Absolutely love the fit. Following Brian Callahan, who has a lot of familiarity.
And then the guy Awuzie is replacing Sean Murphy Bunting to the Cardinals on a 3 year, $25 million deal, pairing him with Gannon. I like it. He didn't have the greatest season with the Titans last year, but he's a high upside corner, has had some really good season with the Bucks. So I like the signing. I'll give this one a B.
Yeah, I agree. A B plus or a B grade from me as well on that one. I definitely like the Cardinals being aggressive in free agency. Helping that defense that needs a lot of help. So Jonathan Gannon's getting some dudes over there, and they need bodies. Arizona needs a lot of different players. They need depth. They need starters, and so I like what they did on day one.
Yeah, still some big name corners that still will be signed. So stay tuned to the NFL Seekers for our grades on those. Jeff Okuda, the Texans. He's probably going to succeed there. Just another Texans dart throw at a young, high upside option because why not? You get him on a 1 year deal for cheap. This is what the Texans do best. So I'll give this one an A, honestly, because you're the Texans.
Yeah, I mean, what a value signing, man. Guy who's a former fourth overall pick, the value's there. I thought he had a better season last year. He's one of my highest graded corners ever coming out of the draft. I feel like there's so much still to be desired with Jeff Okuda, and you go pair him and that Texans defense with D'Amico Ryans, who I think is going to bring the best out of him. A plus plus. That's one of my favorite signings today.
100% super fun.
I love what the Texans do. I
Yeah.
love their GM. I love their coach. I love what the Texans are building over there, man. Just one of the most exciting teams.
Nick Casario just keeps it going, keeps doing the moves that I would make for sure. He's one of the more sharp GMs. That's the more active GMs, just always taking those dart throws. So love to see it. Moving on to the last position, safety. Still got some big names to sign, but Xavier McKinney, kind of the big sought after guy, goes to the Green Bay Packers. 4 years, 68 million, and that's a big one, man. The Giants lose outside of Dexter Lawrence, their two best players, Saquon and Xavier McKinney. Big move for the Packers. The Packers literally had one need, and that was replacing Darnell Savage, maybe a corner. But you fill in Xavier McKinney, you're feeling really good about that. They're true contenders. Imagine the Packers get like Justin Simmons or just pair Xavier McKinney with another one of these safeties. There's so many. Like look at all these names that are available still. So Packers A plus for Xavier McKinney. still so young. Great season last year. The Giants are idiotic. Really, that's it.
Oh yeah, no. What a if you watched last night's pod too of us talking about some of the free agents, I was struggling to think of the team. I was like, what is the team I just had in my mind? And then I said it. I said Xavier McKinney to the Green Bay Packers would be a perfect fit. Calling my shot. And then you go, oh my gosh, that's like their biggest need. That's literally perfect. And it happened. And that's an A++ grade. You love to see it. No complaints there. That might have been one of the better signings today too. Sorry. There's a lot of good signings. It's a lot of excitement to go around. A lot of excitement if you're a Packers fan getting Xavier McKinney, just building that team flawlessly.
So beautiful. Another one we called in our predictions episode, the domino effect to that one. Darnell Savage to the Jaguars on a 3-year deal. What are you going to grade that one? Replacing Rayshon Jenkins. I mean, he hasn't really had the best last few seasons, but with the Jaguars, I do think it's an upgrade. But the Jaguars have been fiending a safety for it seems like 10 years now. I can't name a safety outside of like Andrew Wingard for the Jaguars for the last decade. That's a position. The Cowboys and Jaguars just struggle at safety. So I like at least throwing the shot. I'll give this one a B plus.
Yeah, I like it. I didn't hate Rayshon Jenkins. I thought he was a, pretty good safety over the years. A good playmaker on the ball. Definitely better 2 years ago. But yeah, go get your guy. Go get a guy like Darnell Savage. I don't hate that at all. I would have probably have rather seen, like a Justin Simmons or Julian Blackman, or an Eddie Jackson, honestly, if you really want that guy. But yeah, I don't hate the move at all. I think Darnell Savage is a really good safety and definitely an upgrade. So yeah, B minus for me.
All right. And then Geno Stone, I'll say it right now. This is the value of day one of free agency. 2 years, 15 million for Geno Stone, who led the NFL in interceptions last year with seven. Great season last year. I thought he was going to get overpaid. I thought he was going to be the player to get overpaid of all free agency because of his production last year with Mike McDonald. But no, he goes to the Bengals. He's going to plug in at that starting safety role where Taylor blanking on his name right now. It's a late night seekers pod.
Taylor Rapp.
No, Jesse
Oh wait, sorry,
Bates.
not
Jesse
Taylor Rapp.
Bates. I don't know what I
Or,
was just looking at Taylor Rapp's name, but Jesse Bates. He's going to be in that Jesse Bates role, and he's going to be a
no,
ball hawk.
that's the only Taylor I could think of. I was like, can you talk about Taylor Rapp?
I was just staring at his name. I don't know what I was thinking.
Yeah,
It's
it
an
is
A plus for me though. Perfect value.
getting into. I'll be honest. I'm on my phone 24/7. I'm just like, what's happening? What's going on? Scrolling on.
Same. I'm waiting for the news to come through, even at 10:49 p.m.
Kind of losing our minds over here. Yeah, it's that late night seekers pod. Bear with us. If you're still watching, we love you. You're one of the OGs. You're one of those dudes. Give us a comment if you're still watching. If you're still watching us blabbering, loving free agency, half asleep, give us a comment. Give the seekers some love over here.
Yeah, nerding out right now, but we'll go over these re-signings real quick. Antoine Winfield, A stud. Kyle Duggar, A plus, insane stud. Alohi Gilman, 2 years, 11 million, A plus plus. That was the biggest no-brainer move for the Chargers.
Oh,
What
hey.
are your grades on those?
He's coming home. He's coming home. That's what I think.
Huh,
Tell the world, hello, he's coming home. Yeah,
huge.
A+. That would have broke my heart in like seven different pieces right there. But yeah, you said it. A's, 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 A's. We're giving out A's. We're getting a little kooky here. A's, A's, A's. What do we think about Brandon Jones, Dan? What do you think about your one signing today? Come on, give me a little analysis breakdown on Brandon Jones.
So we'll finish it off on Brandon Jones real quick. I know Stores didn't really like the Bears moving off from Eddie Jackson for Kevin Byard. Doesn't make any sense. 2 years, 15 million, probably too much for Kevin Byard. So I think we both give that like a C minus D grade, right?
And like I like the player, but I don't like the move. It's weird.
Yeah, exactly. Interesting move. But Brandon Jones to the Broncos, that's a lot of money. 3 years, 20 million. He did finish the season last year really good in coverage, which has been his weakness. But ultimately, I see the vision with what the Broncos are doing. They have Caden Sturds, PJ Locke, and now Brandon Jones, who all ironically played together at Texas at the same time. And now they're going to be in that safety rotation. Brandon Jones will be the sub linebacker, the one, on the box, the one moving around. PJ Locke will be the free safety replacing Justin Simmons, and then Caden Stearns will be that strong safety moving around. But the Broncos kind of just move their safeties around. They don't really have a set free safety, strong safety designation. So yeah, I like the trio. It makes sense. They all have their different flavors. So I'll give this one a B. A B.
Yeah, yeah. I don't hate it either. Broncos like Texas safeties apparently. So the room is the Denver Longhorns over here at safety. So you don't hate it. What other positions? Do we still have a couple more to go over?
Oh, we're all done.
Do we have anything we think will happen tomorrow?
So we're getting out of here. Exit hot take. I'll name off the top available free agents, and you can give me an exit hot take. Fire it at me. Daniil Hunter, Patrick Queen, Calvin Ridley, Derrick Henry, Tyron Smith, DJ Reader, Hollywood Brown, Darnell Mooney, Stephon Gilmore, Kendall Fuller, Chase Young, and Justin Simmons. Give me a hot take with one of these top available free agents.
Panthers.
A lot to think about.
All
The
of them to the
Panthers.
Panthers.
All right, what two we're signing with the Panthers? Obviously, Calvin Ridley's a Panther.
No, I think we could lock in the Panthers for a big name wide receiver. Maybe an exit hot take. Maybe Mike Williams to the Panthers or Mike Williams. I think we could see. I'll just say this right now. I think we could see a lot of trades tomorrow. We still the Chargers are $20 million over the cap, so you could see the likes of Joey Bosa, Mike Williams, or Khalil Mack all being traded tomorrow. So I don't know which teams. I think with Mike Williams, Patriots or Panthers would make a lot of sense to me. Um, Also Calvin Ridley to the Panthers. I feel like that would just be a beautiful lock for Bryce Young. Go get him a dude. Daniil Hunter. I have no idea. Who would Daniil Hunter go to? I feel like it'd have to be a contender.
I know I'm a little bit stuck on Danielle Hunter right now. I was thinking Texans maybe after losing Grenard, but I feel like they might just address it in the draft.
I mean, he's old, but he's still productive. Um, that's a hmm.
I don't know,
Hmm.
maybe like the Patriots throw him a bag, or a team like that, the Commanders, the Panthers could throw him a bag. I could see the Panthers getting like Chase Young, honestly.
Like I could have seen Detroit, but they obviously got Davenport. But I mean, they got him at a deal. So I mean, if they really wanted to solidify that room, a Daniil Hunter on a 1 year deal, um, Bengals maybe.
The Panthers did just trade away Brian Burns and Luvu, or they just lost them both. So it could be the
I
Panthers
think
being
Chase Young. I'm gonna say
extended.
Chase Young's a Panther. I
Yeah.
think Chase Young's a Panther. I'll say that. I think they want to be younger. I think they could afford to give him a bag. So I'll say Chase Young's a Panther. Um, Daniil Hunter. Maybe Daniil Hunter's a Raven. I'm gonna go Raven. Let's go Ravens. I'm gonna go Ravens. I like that. I like that fit. They're in a win now. They're a must win now situation. Daniil Hunter would be a huge upgrade to that room. Often moving off of Kyle Van Noy, of course.
Yeah, that would be the Ravens putting their balls on the table with that. That would be a two stacked of a team. But yeah, anything else you want to say before we get out of here? We've been talking about these guys for a while.
Um, Day two, baby. Let's go. Let's go. Nonstop, baby. We're going nonstop for a week, baby. NFL free agency frenzy. Best time of the year, man. I'm gonna be refreshing my phone all night, all morning. Um, we put off the mock draft till Wednesday because we wanted to get this free agency video out. So stay tuned for Wednesday for an updated mock and as we kind of see these guys, where they end up playing out for, the end of the first wave. And Aaron Jones, you are a Minnesota Viking.
We'll call our shot on that one to end it out. And yeah, super fun grading all of these. Stay tuned to the NFL Secrets podcast on Instagram and Twitter. We'll be giving our thoughts and grades on all the big signings as they happen. And yeah, we'll be doing a mock draft, where when the fits and needs are a little bit more clear here in the next few days. So yeah, stay tuned to the NFL Secrets podcast for all the off-season content. Like, comment, subscribe for the algorithms. Peace.
Peace.